Thank you all for being here with us today. The topic today we have is DevOps to MLOps engineering roadmap. Many organizations are requesting MLOps and large LLM ops skills these days. Just DevOps skills are not being appreciated now. I would like to show some stats why we have come up with this bootcamp and how the webinar and as well as the bootcamp and how this is going to help you guys. Why the transition for DevOps and MLOps is needed at this point. The DevOps roles are demanding MLOps. 30 to 40% DevOps jobs posted in 2025 mentioned at least MLOps AI, MLOps GenAI support. We also have got LLM Ops right now. LLM Ops also is also in boom right now. So we are also going to talk a little about LLM Ops today here. So it was 15% increase from last 2024. DevOps teams are no more expected to just deploy, scale, and monitor. They are also expected to do more with LLM and ML systems also. Every organization that is moving and adopting AI definitely needs ML and LLM ops skills. So as we know that there are millions of billions, at least no trillions of dollars that's being invested in the AI right now, and the number of jobs are consistently increasing. I have a little more data here that I want to show you that will help you out. In the year 2024, there were about 5,000 to 8,000 jobs which precisely wanted ML and ML skills. In 2025, it went from 12,000 to 15,000. That is 60 to 70% increase. The projection in 2026 is even more. It's going up to 22,000. So there's a high demand for MLOps. The exact people who would be transitioning to MLOps and LLM Ops would be ideally DevOps folks or folks who are full stack AI developers, right? I have a little data here presenting in the USD because the company is focused in the US. DevOps engineers typically make 120 to 140, but with MLOps and LLM Ops, it's going up to 190 plus, and some research suggests that it's also going up to 220 to 30,000 too. If the research speaks about India, we have folks with the MLOps plus LLM Ops plus architecture. Someone who knows all these three is at 50 to 70 to 1 crore per annum. That's why these particular skills are needed at this point of time. And that is why we are bringing in this webinar to help you understand what does the roadmap look like from transitioning from being a DevOps engineer to MLOps and LLM Ops engineer. So we also have curated an in-depth courses for you guys here. Generating AI for DevOps engineers that we have. It's a 16-hour course. If you would like to in future want to take something, we have an option for that. We also have a very specific boot camps that is for MLOps engineers, which includes LLM Ops also. So if someone would like to do this in future, please do come back to us. But today's topic is not to talk about this particular course. It is to help you guys to understand the roadmap. Over to you, Arhant. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharat. Good morning, everyone, and good evening, depending on the time zone you are in. So, my name is Arihant, and I'll be talking about the today's session, right? So basically, I'll be talking about like what are the skills required to make the transition from the DevOps to the MLOps or the LLM Ops. What is the difference between the DevOps, MLOps, and LLM Ops, right? So all those things we'll discuss it in today's session. Okay, so when we talk about the DevOps, right? So I'm assuming like most of you are already those who have joined the today's session, right? Most of you are already aware about the DevOps, right? So what is DevOps? Where they are responsible for deploying the application in the production and the maintenance part. Okay, so to check the what is the CPU usage, whether the application is working fine or not, right? And for that, we are using the different tools also, right? We are using the Kubernetes, we are using the Grafana, Prometheus, right? So different tools also we are making. Now, the second term which comes is the MLOps, right? So where ML stands for machine learning, right? Where ML stands for machine learning, right? And Ops stands for same operations only. Okay. Now here in the DevOps, what you are deploying? You are deploying the static codes. All right. So let's suppose the developer has created a application. All right. Maybe the Amazon website or any application someone has created. Someone in the sense the developer team have created it. Okay. So what the DevOps used to do? They used to create the CI/CD pipeline. They are going to deploy it, right? They are going to automate it. Automate in the sense like as soon as anyone is pushing the code into the production, it will run through the test cases, and if all the test cases are passed, then it will automatically be deployed into the production. Now, what the MLOps will do? MLOps will be deploying the ML applications, right? Machine learning applications. Okay. So the difference here is that here you will be deploying the static code, but here you will be deploying the dynamic data, right? What do you mean by dynamic data? So here the data will be consistent, the data will be constant. But in the ML, what happens? Like the data keeps on changing. For example, if I want to predict the stock prices, so it's not like that you have deployed one model and that will run for next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, because over the period of time, the trend of the stocks will keep on changing. So automatically you will see the performance of our model will keep on degrading, right? What I mean by performance of the model, that let's suppose if our model is predicting something that the stock price will go to 100 rupees or $100, right? So this was the actual price, right? And this is the predicted price, right? So let's suppose actual price was $100, but my model predicted that the price will go up till $105, right? So this is what the machine learning does. Okay. So this, based on the past data, it predicts about the future. So since the past data will keep on changing because every day new data is getting changed, right? Every day new data is getting updated. So our machine learning models, which we have deployed, right? So that might not work. So what we have to do? We have to use the MLOps pipeline, which will continuously training the model on the production, right? If they think that our model is not performing good, right? So in real time, it will be running the models on daily basis. Okay. So this is the main difference between the DevOps and MLOps. In the DevOps, you are uploading a static or constant code base, but here the code will be constant, but the data will keep on changing. So you have to build a system which will retrain itself, right? For example, I'll give you one example of YouTube. You all watch the YouTube, okay? And here you'll be having your personalized accounts, right? So one is like generic account, one is like personalized accounts, right? So where you are logging with your own credentials. Now you will observe one thing that when you log in, right, and you watch a lot of cricket related videos, let's suppose, right? Then on your homepage, a lot of cricket related stuff will coming. But after couple of days, right? Let's suppose you have moved your interest from cricket to football, right? So after couple of days, you will see that your entire YouTube will be filled with the football related videos. So what does that mean? The code is still the same, but the pattern is changing. So it's not like you are going to change the model over there. So this is where the MLOps will come into the picture. It will retrain the model depending on your depending on your interest, depending on your taste, current taste, and accordingly it will start giving you the recommendations. Right. The same thing happens in the Facebook also, right? You see a lot of reels, Facebook reels, right? And you will see the trend of reels will keep on changing depending on the interest, what kind of reels you see. If you see a lot of cricket related reels, right, sports related reels, right, then you will see a lot of reels related to that will come. Okay, so this is where the MLOps will come into the picture. Now, why it is important for every DevOps engineer to switch, or I would say to upskill himself or herself for the MLOps, because every company now is deploying the ML applications, right? And it's not domain specific, right? Take any domain, whether it's a pharma domain, healthcare domain, BFSI domain, insurance domain, take any domain. In every domain, companies are creating the ML models. And the problem here is that we do not have the sufficient resources in the market who know the MLOps, right? The data scientists we have, right? But they are not good enough for the MLOps part, right? They are good in creating the models, creating the machine learning models, doing the predictions. But when we talk about the deployment part, this is where every person is struggling in the market, right? So what I mean to say, there is a acute shortage of MLOps engineer, right? Who can deploy the application and who can take this activity which the data scientists are creating to the larger scale, right? How to scale it basically. And it's very easy for a DevOps engineer to convert into the MLOps because 60 to 65% of the tools will remain the same, right? So you already know what is CI/CD, right? So here one more thing will get added, which is called as CT, continuous training, right? So CI, continuous integration, continuous deployment, or the development, right? Or the delivery, right? And this new terms which will get added, which is called as the continuous training also, right? This is the new thing which comes added. Then you talk about the containers, right? You talk about the Kubernetes, right? All these things will remain the same. You talk about the DVC, right? DVC is the new thing which will come into the picture, right? So which is like version control. So here also you'll be talking about the Git, GitHub. Here also you'll be talking about the shell scripts, right? So here there is one more thing which come into the picture is like ML flow. ML flow in the sense when you are going to do a lot of experiments with the machine learning, right? So at that time you should do the experiments on the ML flow, right? This is the new tool which gets added. And one important part here is to have the basic understanding of the machine learning algorithms, right? Machine learning algorithms. So what do you mean by that? So as of now, you are a DevOps engineer, right? So that means you have the basic understanding of the coding part. Okay, but for entering into the MLOps, you should have the understanding of the machine learning, right? You don't have to be a very pro into the machine learning, but because for that we have the data scientists, we have the data analysts, we have the ML engineers in place, right? Who will be creating the models for us. Our job as a MLOps engineer is to deploy that application onto the production, right? And to create a pipeline so that it can automatically run. So as a MLOps engineer, you should have the basic understanding of the ML algorithms, right? Machine learning part, how we take the data, right? How we do the data cleaning, how we do the feature engineering, how we train the model, right? Training the model, how we test the model, right? So basically, we go through the entire life cycle of this, right? And basic understanding. You don't have to be professional in that, right? So basic understanding of that. So with that, so that we can deploy it on the MLOps. Okay. Now, a new term is getting popular these days, which is like LLM ops now, right? LLM ops. What is LLM ops? LLM stands for large language models, right? Since this GenAI has become popular, right? Since this ChatGPT and this Copilot, this black box AI, there are hundreds and hundreds of tools, AI tools, which are becoming popular now. So since this GenAI has become popular, generative AI has become popular, right? So LLM ops is also becoming popular, right? Because LLMs are basically large language models. If you want to deploy your own LLM model, if you want to deploy your own chatbot in the production, right? So for that, we should have the basic understanding of the generative AI. We should have the basic understanding of the LLM ops, right? So here also the concepts will remain the same, right? So here we were talking about the ML part. Here you should have the basic understanding of the machine learning algorithms. And here you should have the basic understanding of the generative AI, right? What are LLMs, right? What are the APIs, right? What are the API keys or what are the OpenAI API key, right? So how to create the RAG architecture, right? Basic things basically. Right, so this is the difference between the DevOps, MLOps, and LLM ops. Right, so I hope this is clear. Right, so DevOps work on the static data. This works on the machine learning data. Right, so where the data will keep on updating. Right, just like I have given you the example of Reels, I have given you the example of YouTube. Right, the data is constantly changing. And for the LLM ops, if you are talking about the generative AI architectures, right? So for that we use the LLM ops, right? So approximately 60 to 65% will be the overlap between all these, right? So if you are familiar with the DevOps, it will be very easy for you to convert into this thing. And the interesting part is every company now, right? If you are applying for the DevOps role also in the job description, they are asking for that the person should have experience on MLOps. Person should have experience on on LLM ops. The reason is because now they do not want to hire separate person who will be doing the MLOps and who will be doing the DevOps, right? Because single person can take care of both the things. Single person can take care of both the things, right? So that's why they are looking for a full stack ops developer, right? So this thing. And since maximum things are overlapping, so that's why it's important. Okay. Now, since you have got the basic understanding between all these things, let's go into the PPT part. Now you'll be able to understand in a much better way. Okay. Okay. So MLOps and DevOps, right? So in MLOps, you do the experiments, right? So because machine learning is all about the experiments. In DevOps, it's more of a implementation part. So in the MLOps, you consist of software engineers, right? Data scientists, ML researcher, and other relevant professionals. Focuses on tasks such as EDA, exploratory data analysis, model development, and experimentation, right? Always remember machine learning is about doing the experiments with the data. But in DevOps, we are team is primarily made up of data engineers, scientists, and developers because they're working on the static code, right? Because they are working on the static code. Okay. So now model validation and training in addition to unit and integration testing are required for testing a ML system. So if you have created a ML machine learning system, then what you need? You need the knowledge of unit testing, right? Integration testing, which you are already doing in the DevOps also. In addition to that, you should have the understanding of model validation also. Model validation in the sense, if you have created any machine learning algorithm, whether it is giving us the good results or not, right? So let's suppose a match is happening between team A and team B. So how much score team A will create? I want to predict that. So whether it is giving you the correct predictions or not. Okay, so this is what we call it as a model validation. So in the DevOps, if you will see the third point, mostly regression and integration testing are done here. So in the MLOps, automated retraining and deployment of a model is necessity. Okay, so because every day you cannot retrain the model by yourself manually, right? So it will take a lot of manual efforts. So we need someone who can create an automated pipeline, which will retrain itself based on the latest data what we are getting. Okay, so the example which I was giving you for the YouTube, right? As your interest will keep on changing on searching the videos on the YouTube. Last month you were watching a lot of cricket related stuff. This month you're watching a lot of football related stuff. Accordingly, it should recommend. Okay, so automatically we should have a system. This is where the MLOps will come into the picture. And DevOps, retraining and deploying a DevOps model using a single CI/CD pipeline. Okay. So if you see the last point, continuous training is utilized to automatically retrain the candidate models for testing and serving, right? So it is employed. On the other hand, in the DevOps, we have the CI and CD only. Okay, so these are the things. Okay. Okay. So now, if I'll talk about why DevOps engineers are perfect for the MLOps, right, or for the LLM ops. Because DevOps, they are automating the software deployment, and here you are automating the ML model deployments. This is the difference. Okay, so you should have the basic understanding of the machine learning algorithms, and that is what we cover in our boot camps of MLOps. So in the DevOps also you use the CI/CD pipeline, you use the GitHub or the GitLab, right? In the MLOps also you'll be using the CI/CD pipeline. So here also you'll be automating the CI/CD pipeline for the ML models. So in the DevOps you are automating it for the softwares, and here you will be automating for the machine learning models. So in the DevOps also you were using the Docker, Kubernetes cloud. Here also you'll be using the same things, Docker, Kubernetes cloud. In addition to that, right, you should have the knowledge of ML frameworks also, right? Like scikit-learn, TensorFlow, PyTorch, right? So these are the frameworks, libraries, which are specific to the machine learning, deep learning, right? So this thing. So this additionally, we should have the knowledge of this thing. Okay. So what is the reason to consider the ML ops as a career? So companies are investing heavily in AI, but 80% of ML models fail to make it to production due to the deployment and scaling issues. As I was talking about, we have huge openings in the market, but we do not have the sufficient resources in the market for the MLOps. Okay. So although we have abundance of data scientists, right, which are creating the models, but they do not have the sufficient skill set to deploy it to the production. And that is where the problem is coming. So that's why the MLOps engineers are in high demand to bridge the gap and make AI work at scale. So, and guess what? Salaries are obviously skyrocketing. So you already know 60 to 70% of what's needed. You just need to fill the ML specific gap. Okay, so ML specific gap in the sense you should have the basic understanding of the machine learning, deep learning, and that is sufficient. Right? And how to retrain, how to create a pipeline which will retrain itself, how to do the different experiments on the DVC, ML flow, right? So these are a couple of tools which we can use in our MLOps. So key focus areas for the DevOps engineer, right? If you want to be a uh, MLOps engineer or the LLM ops engineer, so these are some key things on which you have to focus on. So machine learning basics, right? You don't need to be a data scientist, but understanding how models are trained, evaluated, and served is crucial. Because as I was talking to you earlier also, for creating the models, right, for doing the data cleaning and other things, we have the data analyst, we have the data scientist, we have the ML engineers in place. Our job as ML ops engineer is just to have a basic understanding so that we can deploy it in the production and we can see if problem comes, then how it will retrain itself in the production. Okay. Deployment part. Learn how to deploy models using Flask, Fast API, and TensorFlow serving, right? So these are some frameworks which I was talking about earlier also, which we should be aware of. MLOps tools. Start working with ML Flow. ML Flow. What is ML Flow? ML Flow is basically when you create a machine learning model, you basically do a lot of experiments, right? You do a lot of basically experiments. Now, obviously, you cannot keep a tracker. You cannot keep a Excel tracker where you will be manually writing that when I was giving this parameter, I was getting this much accuracy. When I was giving this parameter, I was getting this much of accuracy. No, this is not how you do. We have the ML flow for the experiment tracking where it will keep a record that what the different parameters we have given while creating the models and what were the accuracies we were getting. And at the end, let's suppose we have done 50 experiments. Let's suppose we have done 50 experiments. So at the end, it will tell that out of these 50 experiments, this is the best experiment and this has given you the maximum accuracy. Go with that. So if it would not be there, then you have to keep a manual record in the Excel that when I was giving this parameter, this was the accuracy. This parameter, this was the accuracy. So it is eliminating that part. Okay, so this is how it is automating it. Right. So then we have the Kubeflow for the orchestration, AWS SageMaker for the cloud ML deployment. Right. So if you have the basic understanding of the any of the cloud platform, be it Azure, be it GCP, be it AWS, right? So that will be considered as a uh, add-on advantage basically, right? So CI/CD for the ML, you already know CI/CD for the software. Now extend it to automating the ML pipelines using the GitHub Actions, Jenkins, and RUCD, right? So using the GitHub Actions, we can automate the task, right? So let's suppose if any person, if any developer has created any application, right, or has created any code, and he wants to push it into the into the GitHub. So directly he cannot push it. Firstly, he has to test whether all the functionalities are working fine or not, whether the unit test cases are getting passed or not, right? Then he will be deploying it. So earlier it used to be a manual activity, which consumes like 5 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, depending on how many unit cases we are uh, testing. But now with this GitHub Actions, we can actually automate it, right? No human intervention. As soon as you will push it to the main branch, automatically, firstly, it will do all the validation checks and then it will get deployed automatically. If any of the validation checks will get failed, the subsequent test will not run and automatic email will be triggered that this particular test has been failed, right? So this will not break our existing code. So this is how the things are getting automated. Okay, manual efforts are getting reduced. So monitoring the ML models, right? In DevOps, you monitor infrastructure. In MLOps, you monitor model drift. Model drift in the sense how the input data is getting changed, how the accuracy is increasing or decreasing, right? All these things, performance and accuracy using Prometheus and Grafana. So those who are in the DevOps, they might already be aware about Prometheus and Grafana, right? So using this, we can create the dashboards, we can see the UI, we can see the CPU utilization, we can use the servers, right? All those things we can see here. So the same things in the MLOps also, right? And in addition to that, we will be checking the model performance. Okay, so this is what we are talking about. So MLOps basically it bridges the gap between the data science and the DevOps, right? So it basically bridges the gap into this thing. Okay, so continuous integration we already know, right? So continuous integration in the sense, continuously we are deploying the code, right? So MLOps enables continuous integration of machine learning models into existing workflows, ensuring real-time updates and feedback from both data scientists and developers for improved collaboration. Automated testing, this is what I was talking about. Earlier, manually we used to test the code, right? If there are 20 different test cases, we used to run it manually. But now we have the automated workflow in the CI/CD pipeline in the GitHub Actions, which can automate this task for us. Okay, you as a developer, you just need to push the code and automatically it will test all the use cases. And now with this advancement of AI, okay, so we have the vibe coding also. Vibe coding in the sense you don't need to write any YAML files, you don't need to write any codes, right? It will write the all the codes for us, right? Earlier we used to get a lot of syntax errors. We used to remember the functionalities, we used to remember the codes, right? Now no requirement, right? So we have the vibe coding, we have the AI tools, agents in the VS Code also. In the we have some new softwares coming in the market like anti-gravity, which can write the entire code for us. Okay. Model monitoring. MLOps includes robust monitoring solutions that track the performance of machine learning models in production, allowing the data scientists and DevOps to work together to address the issues promptly. So if your model performance is going bad, immediately you will be getting alerted. You will get the alert that the model performance has decreased by 5%. It has increased by 3%. Right? On daily basis, you will keep on getting the report. Let's suppose you do a stock trading. All right. On daily basis, it will give you the prediction that tomorrow the stock price will go up till this point. Tomorrow the stock price will go up to this point. And when we will check tomorrow, what is the actual price, right? So automatically you will get the report in your email that my model predicted that stock price will go up till 100, but actually it went up till 105. So that means the model performance has reduced by 5%. Okay. So this thing, understanding the MLOps, right? So model deployment, continuous integration, and this thing, collaboration tools. So if you are coming from a DevOps side, right? So I think there is no challenge here. So challenges in the data science and DevOps collaboration is there can be three types of problems. One is the communication gaps. Communication gap in the sense, what is the life cycle of any ML project? First, it will come to the business analyst. Business analyst will understand the requirement. Then it will go to the uh, data engineering team, right? So if I'll talk about the ML pipeline, the entire life cycle, firstly, it goes to the business analyst. It understands the requirements, right? Then it goes to the data scientist team, right? So they will check like where the data is there because you cannot get the data only in a single format, in a single data source. You can have multiple data sources, right? Then the data source, then the data scientist will go to the data engineering team. What the data engineering team will do, it will create a pipeline that will bring the data to the data scientist again, right? That will bring the data again to the data scientist. Then data scientist will be responsible to create the models, right? Then comes the testing team, right? Which will be doing the thorough testing of the models, right? Once this is done, then comes the deployment part, right? Deployment and monitoring, right? So this is the entire life cycle of any machine learning model. Business analyst, data scientist, data engineer, again data scientist will come into the picture, then the testing of the models, and then the deployment part. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. So if there is a gap in understanding the requirement by business analyst, right? Because who is giving the requirement to the business analyst? The stakeholder, right? If stakeholder has said something and business analyst has understood something, communication gap. If he has understood the requirement correctly, but he was not able to pass the information to the data scientist, communication problem, right? So these kind of problems, if you are getting, so this is the first problem, right? So lack of shared terminologies lead to the confusion, different objectives, and so on. Problem number two can be like the tools which we are using, right? If there are any compliance issues, right? If they are not compatible, right? Or if they are complicating the integration part, right? So these can be the another type of problems. And third type of problem can be difficulty in scaling, right? So you have created a model which is working for like 10,000 users, 20,000 users. But if you want to scale it to 1 lakh users, right? 100K, 200K, 300K users, right? Then it is creating the problem, right? So these can be the three different type of problems we have, right? So what are the key components of ML ops framework? One is like collaboration, right? So because ML ops cannot work independently, right? They need a team, right? They have to interact with the business analyst also. They have to interact with the testing team also. They have to interact with the data scientists also, right? And they have to interact with the stakeholders also, right? So it's like a collaboration. So then the second point is like automation. They have to streamline the process, right? So data scientist job is just to create the model. Ultimately, it's the it's a MLOps team who will be automating this thing, right? If due to any reason the model is not working on any fine day, right, the server goes down. So it's the responsibility of the MLOps to take care of these things. So this is what the monitoring means, right? So ensuring ongoing performance tracking of deployed models. And the last one is the versioning. Versioning in the sense, if our model is not performing good after a couple of days, right? We have made some changes in the model. So that means we will be deploying the latest version now. So if we want to switch back to the older version after a couple of days, after a couple of weeks, right? So that is called as the versioning. So MLOps engineers are responsible for maintaining the versioning part also, right? And for that, we have the DVC, right? Data versioning control system, right? So this one and ML flow, right? So this is used for doing the experiments with this, right? So these are the new tools which DevOps engineers do not use generally, but which are used by the MLOps engineers. Okay. So this thing. So what is the role of a version control, right? So to keep the track of changes, right? So what are the changes we have done? And the collaborative development, right? So if we are making any collaborative development, then the reproducibility, if you want to reproduce it, right? Rollback in the sense during the deployment, if any issues comes, then if you want to roll back to the previous version, easily we can roll back. Okay, so that these are the different things. Okay, continuous integration and continuous deployment in MLOps, right? So step one is like develop and test the models in isolated environment for accuracy. Because as a ML ops engineer, right, so you'll not be deploying only a single model, right? At the same time, you'll be working on multiple models, multiple different applications, right? Some applications are working on Python version, let's suppose 3.12. Some are working on, let's suppose 3.14. Now, application working on this will not be compatible with this. So you have to keep all the applications in a separate environment, in the different containers. Okay. So this is what the role of MLOps engineers. Automate the build and testing process to ensure the model quality. Deploy models to production using the automated pipelines and monitor the feedback and performance metrics continuously. Right. So this is how the pipeline goes, right? So starting with the data governance to data ingestion to the version control to the automated pipelines, right? The same thing which I was talking about here. Okay, so it enhances the collaboration, increased efficiency, improve the scalability, and the better quality of the code. So this is how the monitoring and observability looks like, right? So which I was talking about that Grafana, Prometheus, right? So so this is how we'll be creating the dashboards over there. So which will be telling how many errors we are getting, type A, type B, type C, type D. What is the deployment success rate, right? How many models we have deployed. Model accuracy, It has to be more than 90%, then it is considered as good. Response time, if you're asking the question how much time it is taking, error rate, and downtime, right? So let's suppose for the entire one day, 24 hours, it was downtime for 1 hour, right? It was not working for 1 hour. And monthly performance, this thing, right? So these kind of activities will be done by the MLOps engineer. Okay, so this is how the automation happens, right? So flowchart, basically, you start the application, it goes live. If it's a success, then proceed, go ahead. Okay, but if it is not a success, then you will give it a retry. If it is still not working, then checking the logs, fixing the issues, and end. Now, earlier it used to be done by the humans, right? But now all these things are automated, right? So we can use the features of Gen AI, which can automatically detect the logs also, and the errors from the logs also, and it can automatically fix those errors also. Okay, so this is where we are moving towards. The industry is moving towards, basically. Okay, so then we have like best practices for the collaboration between the teams. I think most of you are working professionals, so you might understand how the collaboration happens in the languages, in the culture, in the communication, in the alignment, in the tools, right? So basically, you start with the planning, to the execution, to the review, and then the feedback, right? So this is basically this part. Okay, now these are basically some of the tools I was talking about, right? So for the data versioning, we use the DVC. So for the model deployment, right, for the monitoring tools, for the collaborative platforms, right, so we can use the Kubernetes, Prometheus, right, Slack, right. So we use the Git also. We use the GitLab also, GitHub also, right. So there are so many different tools which we use it. And this is the life cycle, starting from the data collection to the data cleaning, to the transformation, data storage, model development, deployment, and monitoring. So generally from point number one to point number five, point number one to point number five are done by the data analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineers. Our role as a model MLOps engineer starts from point number six. But for point number six, you should have the basic understanding of point number one to five, right? So that also we cover into our uh, course, right? So basically, you should have the understanding of ML. As a ML ops engineer, you should have the understanding of point number one to point number five also, guys. Okay. So this is the another sample of the dashboard, right, which we generally create to check our model efficiency, right? How good our model is performing in training and in the testing. So clearly it is visible in the training, and in testing it is performing almost equal, 60 to 63%. So this shows a stable model, but not very good model, because good model will be considered as if its accuracy is more than 90%. Okay. So how it is reducing the cost and other things. Okay. So this is how we are doing, right? So integrating this thing, scaling, if you want to scale it, so it's a 5-step process, 4-step process, right? At the enterprise level, cross-functional standardization and continuous monitoring. So what is the future trends, right? Obviously, a huge demand is going to take for the MLOps engineer, right? Then some ethical considerations also we have to take into picture. So, like the data should not be leaked, right? So we should secure our data. Biasness should not come. Like it should not predict everything in one direction only, right? It should be unbiased, basically. Transparency should be there, right? So that we can trust, and this there should be some regulatory firms also, right? So uh, regulations in the sense like um, European Union is coming with their own regulations, right? So, for example, with the advancement of Gen AI, whatever we give the command, it is actually doing it for us, right? From the deep fake, from the unethical content, right? So we have to put some kind of regulations so that it cannot generate the unethical data, or it should not hallucinate it. Okay, feedback loops and this. So this is how you can start your journey, guys, with the DevOps, from the DevOps to the MLOps. Uh, thank you. Mr. Sharath, would you like to take it over?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Arihant, for your time. Everyone, we are open for questions. I guess, Paloma, you had few questions during the chat. Do you want me to unmute you so you can ask the questions? I did request you to unmute.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I was trying to find out how to work it out.
No worries.
So, so I think that it was clear to me the difference between deploying an application where you have a model that you have to train, but I was confused about if you're using an LLM and a specific version, is that considered also an ML deployment? Is that making
Yes.
sense?
Yes,
Okay.
that's perfectly makes sense. So there are two things, Paloma. So one is like ML part and one is like GenAI part. So when we talk about the LLM, so that comes under the LLM ops. So for that also we have the different models. For example, if I talk about the GPT, for GPT we have different type of models like GPT 4.0, 3.5, Turbo. So which model we are deploying? So that also comes under into this LLM ops basically, Paloma.
Okay.
Like in
Okay.
like in machine learning, we can have linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree,
Mm-hmm.
different
Mm-hmm.
models with the different parameters. In the same way, in the GenAI also we have the different models. Whether you want to use the anthropic models, whether you want to use open source models, which model you want to use, which model you want to deploy.
Okay. That makes sense to me, but at the same time, I'm a little confused because let's say
Mm,
that you have a model that you have to train because you are forecasting
mm,
a price of a stock or whatever you want.
mm,
So if you are like basically you need to refresh the model with the closest or the latest data that you have. So you have to retrain the model. But in the case of an LLM, you're
mhm.
using a specific model or version that you're not going to change in your application. And that's why it got me a little confused, if that makes sense.
No, there also we can change the model. So there also we have the different options. We just need to pass the API key only there, Paloma.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if I'll talk about the paid margin, because if we'll talk about the corporates, we generally use the paid models. We do not use the open source models because they are
Yeah.
not reliable and we cannot get the good accuracies from that. So there also we can deploy the different models and it can try out different models in the LLMs also, whichever will give me the better results and that will be deployed.
Okay. Okay. I think that I understand. And I just am curious, how do you test the scalability of a model so you know that X number of users can be using
Mhm.
that particular model? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so generally it depends on the use case also, the company also. For example, if I'll talk about the Amazon, if I'll talk about the Flipkart, right? So generally when
Mhm.
this big billion sales, right, or if they are running any campaign, at that time we can predict that yes, this much of population will come into our website, right? And for that, we see the past trend also. Like in the last 2 years, what was the seasonality, Paloma, right? So, for
Mm.
example, in every business, we have the seasonality, right? So, if I'll talk about the
Mhm.
airlines, so when the huge rush will come on our website for the bookings, right, during the December season, how much in comparison to the previous year, right? So, for that, we try to forecast it using the time series forecasting. So
Mhm.
means
Okay.
coming to your question, like how
Mhm.
will we reach to the scalability? Like how much footfall we can expect based on the past
Mhm.
experience, based on the past data.
Okay, so like any other
Yeah.
application, basically. Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I
Awesome.
really appreciate great presentation. Are we getting a copy of the slides?
Not the slides, Paloma. You'll get the video recording. The slides is for
Oh,
folks who
okay.
joined the
Okay, the
training.
video recording will be okay. Yes.
Yeah, I think
Thank you.
awesome. Thanks for the question. We have Ola with question. So I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Ola.
All right, thank you so much. It was a great presentation. I understand things very carefully.
Mhm.
So I'm a prospect student that I've been thinking of joining AgileFever. So I want to know how long does this course take if I want to go into this course right now? So how long does it take? Is it like 4 weeks? Is it 8 weeks? I just want to know.
It's a 48-hour course, Ola. It's a 48-hour
Okay.
course broken down into 8 hours a week. It is specifically tailored for folks who are working also. So we teach it in the evenings in the Eastern time. So folks who are working also join these trainings. This particular course is designed that at the end of the course, you will be an MLOps engineer with LLM Ops skills.
Yeah,
We
because
will make sure that, I'm sorry, yeah, we'll make sure that you can crack your interviews and you will crack your interviews. And the
okay,
support will stay with you until you crack the interviews.
all right. The reason why is because I already have a very strong knowledge from because when we were doing the presentation, I discovered like it has like 7 steps from step 1 through step 7. Then ML MLOps takes it from step 6 to step 7. But for me, right, I already have a very strong knowledge from step 1 to step 6. I'm a full like I do data
Understood.
cleaning, I do all of that. So I
Mhm.
just want to like up my game and make sure I'm able to do things without supervision, even at the company and enterprise level.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this course is actually tailored for folks like you. And then we have seen the gap here, like we were talking earlier. So any
Mm-hmm.
DevOps engineer is a proper prospect for this. The goal is at the end, you are job ready. Any organization is coming up with an MLOps and LLM Ops requirement, you are 100% ready, not 50%, 100% ready. We have
Okay.
16 different projects which you work on hands-on. We teach
Okay.
you 12 different tools hands-on, which you can go ahead and leverage in the your live job. I
Okay.
can quickly share you. So this is not going to be a theoretical stuff that we're going to talk about. This is exact execution that we're going to do. Let me just pull this up here. If you see all of these tools that were practical, we were talking, Arhant was talking about, all
Okay.
these 11 tools are covered. You will be using these 11 tools during the training, hands-on, to complete your projects. And what are those projects? These are the projects. You build and evaluate classification, a GCP project, concepting complete training pipeline, running the HTTP job, creating a CI/CD, deploying the models separately on large scale also, configuring the Vertex AI, securing the Vertex AI DVC, building models. And you have two capstone projects, which you will be working end to end. Capstone project. So you will build complete automated MLOps system on GCP with a real world problem like fraud detection system or any others. We also help you with, let's just say you have your own project in the organization that you're working on, you want to execute this. You can come up with your own case study and we'll get it executed if time permits 100%. So this is like you are doing job, but in the training and you're getting mentored with the folks who are good at it, right? I hope that answers your question, Zola. I have another question here. What to do with model drift? Catherine has this question. Is she still here? Yes, she's here. Arihant, would you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So, Katri, like model drift means like how to detect, control, and respond to it systematically, right? So if the system, if the model, the trend is changing, right? So how the model will act to it accordingly. I'll give you one example. So for example, when we talk about the COVID time, right? Before the COVID, what were the number of applications we were receiving for the credit cards or the loan applications? And what are the loan applications which we received immediately after the COVID? Okay. So there is a huge difference between that. Now, since our model was built on before COVID data, so after the COVID, it will not be able to identify that pattern. So this is called as a model drift. Okay, because after the COVID, what happened? Lot of job losses were happened, right? So people they were taking lot of loans, right? So before COVID, these situations were not there, right? Situations were under control. But after the COVID, a lot of job losses happened. So number of loan applications got increased exponentially. So for that, many banks they started their systems got started failing in predicting that whether we should approve or reject the loan, because most of the things were virtual. And during the virtual onboarding, what happens? A lot of fraudulent activities happen. So they might tweak their salary slips to get the loans, right? So all these things were happening. So this is called as the model drift. Kathy, is it making sense?
I have actually asked you to unmute now. Yeah, earlier I did.
Okay.
Catherine, you can unmute if you want. Okay. What other questions do you guys have?
Yeah, excuse me, sir. Yeah, I understand what is model drift, but how to deal with it?
Sorry, how to?
Do it.
How
How
to
to do
deal
it?
with it? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what our model will do when we are going to deploy it. So the model, ML model, which we created at the time of development, right? So let's suppose at that, okay, I'll share my screen. So there are multiple phases of the machine learning model, right? So if I talk about, so one is called as the development phase, ML development. Right? So let's suppose in the development phase, we were getting 90% accuracy for the model. Okay. And then comes the model testing, right? Machine learning model testing, right? At that time also, let's suppose we were getting the accuracy close to 88% to 92%, right? But at the time of deployment, right? So after the COVID, immediately the trend got changed for the input data, right? And we started getting the accuracy that it is coming like 80%. Then the next month, it further got down to 75%, right? So that means our model has changed, right? So that means our this accuracy has started dropping down. Now, what will happen? On the dashboard, we will start seeing that the results are going down, right? So that means our model is going bad. So what we can do, there are two things. Either we can go manually here, right? So whatever the model we have deployed, right, we can try to run it on our local machine also. Otherwise, in the pipeline, automatically it will run based on the new data. Accordingly, it will change the parameters, right? And it will start seeing that whatever the new accuracy we are getting, whether it is getting close to 90% or not, Catherine. Right, so there are two ways.
No.
One is manually, we can change the parameters. Otherwise, in the ML flow, we can give the instructions in the pipeline itself that it will do the experiments, and based on that, whatever the good results we are getting. So this one, I would recommend for this, the manual will make more sense because we will be having more control over it, Catherine.
Okay, basically you have to retrain model, correct? And deploy
Yes,
new model.
yes, because our
Okay,
input
yeah,
data has changed. Yeah.
okay, thank you, sir. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine, for the question. What other questions do we have? Anyone, folks? Questions? Any questions about the bootcamp? If not about the, I guess I have Deepak who is asking me a question. I can unmute you, Deepak, here, and you can ask me the question. Deepak, I requested you to unmute. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, thanks, sir. So I have a question already. I think you answered me
Okay.
on that part, but yeah, I need to understand more on that part, like as a QA, automation tester, and non Gen AI background, how this course is relevant to me.
Okay.
I knows little bit concepts of DevOps, but not really hands-on.
Sure. Again, I'll try to answer this. Keep me true if something is wrong, okay? See,
Yeah, sure.
this course is ideally for people who do not know, knows a little bit of DevOps, because DevOps is also covered part of this bootcamp. DevOps plus MLOps. This will be awesome for people who already knows DevOps but wants to do MLOps, right? So 30% of the content that we cover here, people know it's about DevOps. 70% of the content that we have is MLOps and LLM Ops. So we are going to touch on introduction to DevOps and what DevOps is, what are the tools and what it works like. And 70% of it is MLOps and LLM Ops. If you are someone who understands DevOps, you might probably need few more hours of DevOps knowledge in order to pick it up. Those could be like a prerequisite for you. We do have those prerequisites available with us. We would suggest you watch those videos to brush up your skills on that DevOps. And then you come and join this class. You will be fine and you will be good to go as an MLOps engineer. Arhant, do you want to add something on that?
Yeah, definitely. So, so as Mr. Sharat said correctly, right? So I would like to add one more point here that if I'll talk about the QA roles, right? So in the QA roles also, the GenA is taking over the place slowly and slowly because all the unit test cases, right? All the test cases can be easily written by with a single prompt. So what I'm trying to say here is that it is very important these days to get upskilled, right, with the latest technologies, with the GenAI skills, so that you can start integrating it, right, specifically for the QA roles. I'll give you one real-time example. I was talking to one guy, and he said that his manager is pushing him that either start utilizing the GenAI skills to write the test cases, otherwise we need to hire someone else who can write the test cases using the GenAI, right? So that we can increase the productivity. Okay, so now coming to your question, how this course will be helpful like MLOps. So you'll be having one additional skill set which you can integrate, and obviously the QA and MLOps are closely packed to each other. In the QA, you are doing the testing, in the MLOps, you are doing the deployment. And here the benefit is you'll be learning the ML part also, you'll be learning the LLM part also, right? And you'll be learning the deployment part also, right? Within these 50 hours or 48 hours.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
I
the,
think, yeah. Thanks for this explanation. Yes, thank you, and it's a great presentation. Thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Deepak, for the question. Does any others have any other question about the bootcamp or about the subject that we are talking about? So, what other questions do you folks have? Okay, someone. Okay, do you have mock interviews? Yeah. Guys, we also have mock interviews. We will be doing mock interviews for you with a hiring manager who hires for MLOps engineer roles. You have at least 3 sets of mock interviews, which means you will be ready for your job when you are done with this. After you're done with the bootcamp, you have at least 3 mock interviews with the hiring managers, which means you're job proof, you're job ready. Hope that answers your question, Lasya. Support. Yeah, Lasya again. So do we have support later on? Yes, we do have a community of AI, ML, and Shift to AI. We do support you after the cohort 2. So we have something called office hours. Every 2 weeks, we host office hours for our folks that have already registered with us. So these guys can come back and ask questions to the trainers and the hiring managers who have hired them. Let's just say you have come here, you have done your 48 hours course, and then 5 or 6 hours of mock interview. We do it, resume refinement, LinkedIn refinement, GitHub setup, and your behavioral skills refinement. All of this will be done for you guys. Once this is done, you go back into after your mock interviews, you go start giving your interviews. You face with some questions that you do not know. You can come back to the community and you can ask the questions there. So you have a set of folks who are already doing this in their jobs. At the same time, we have office hours where our expertise and mentors will come back and answer your questions. That way, you have a support system in the AI space that is built for you next decade, right? So you are not lost when you have questions. You have community, you have mentors that can help you out with your questions. Thank you for that question. As someone asked me, do you provide placements? We make you job ready. Placements is not something that I, as a company, can control externally, right? But then what we can promise you is you will be job ready. There are thousands of companies. I cannot control their hiring, not hiring their requirement. But if you are going to go for a MLOps engineer role, we will make sure that you know all the stuff that they are asking you. We will make sure that you have already completed 16 projects, you have made it live, it's on your GitHub. We will make sure you are interviewed at least 3 to 4 times before you go there. We will make sure your resume, LinkedIn, GitHub, all of these are refined for you, and then it is positioned in a better way that you get your jobs. We have job assistance, but not 100% confirmed. We work with at least 40 to 50 vendors in the US. We are happy to send it out across to them once your bootcamp training is done. And if they come up with job requirements, fantastic. If not, we will try pushing your profile to all the companies that we work with. But we cannot guarantee you 100%. If someone guarantees that they are going to give you 100% job, then that is a mistake. I hope that answers your question. Sugna, we can go ahead and share you all the details over the email. I will check with my team to see if they have your details. What are the timings of the course? How long does the course take? Which cloud could be used for the training? Ideally, in this particular training, we are using GCP, but we also have GCP is what we are using. GCP Vertex is what we are using in this particular training, exactly aligned to Google Cloud. So this would be 48 hours. This is basically 8 hours a week. We understand that all the folks joining this particular boot camps are working. So we have this in the evenings or in the weekends. Evenings in the EST time, about 7 to 9 Eastern probably. And in the weekends, it is 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours on Saturday and 3 to 4 hours on Sunday. So that is about 6 weeks that will complete your boot camp. Once you complete the boot camp, you will have another support, which is job-oriented support. That would be about 6 to 10 hours for you to set up whatever I just mentioned. I hope that answers your question. Okay, next batch, you mean the next cohort starting? So the next cohort starts in January. It's around January 10th-ish. So right now it's holiday season, obviously, for us all. So Jan 10th to Feb 15th is what is planned. That is about 6 weeks. This is 100% confirmed. And just so you know, because it's year ending, we have pretty good promotions going on. If you're someone who is really serious about taking advantage of MLOps and taking advantage of the promotions that we have, I would recommend you reach out to our teams right now. You could get some best deals. Anasia. So MLOps, I think we've covered this. Arihant, are you with us? Arihant
Yeah,
is here.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the demand of MLOps role at this time, given the role it's very niche? So
Yeah.
could you answer? I mean, I know, but I want you to answer. I can unmute you. Vaipan, I unmuted you if you want to ask this question. Arihant will be the best person to answer this question. Can you go ahead, please, Arihant?
Yeah. So definitely. So there are huge demand of this. As I was talking about, like we have the data scientist in the market, we have the data analyst in the market, but they do not know how to productionize it. So for that, we need someone who can productionize it, right? So that's why the MLOps basically are bridging the gap to take the model at a scalable level. Right, so almost every company needs the MLOps engineer, and the problem is they have the DevOps, but they do not have the ML skills now, right? So this is where the MLOps will come into the picture. And if you will explore the vacancies on the job portal, maybe on the LinkedIn or on your job portals, you will see huge openings are there for the MLOps engineer, right? You can search for MLOps or for the LLM Ops, right? So automatically you'll get the idea.
Yep. Yep. Thank you so much. And also just to add, all the DevOps engineers are currently needing these skills. Everyone who are in DevOps fields are mandatorily asked for this particular niche skills that you're talking about. Okay, thank you all again. Appreciate your time. Thanks for being part of our webinar. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Thank you, Arhant.